right? Like if you're in crypto right now, you've had this insight that most of the world that hasn't had, which I feel very confident is right, which is that this thing is just getting started and it's going to be really important. It's a generational opportunity. You've already done the hard work. Don't then, shoot yourself in the foot.
You said it's just getting started.
It's just getting started. Yeah.
Matt Hougan talks about it's boring, but it will make you rich in crypto. We cover steady strategies, long-term wins. Watch now.
Yeah. I mean, I'll give you two quick views on Bitcoin specifically. I think until Bitcoin is as large as gold, we were just getting started. It's still early. And I think once we get to as large as gold, then we can talk about, is it 5x bigger than gold? Is it 3x bigger than gold? Is it 2x bigger than gold? But there's still a 10x until we match gold. And try to think of another area where there's a physical and a digital analog where the physical is still bigger. Is physical newspapers bigger than digital newspapers? Is physical advertising bigger than digital advertising? Are DVDs bigger than stream? I've really struggled to come up with even one example. And so I think until we get to Bitcoin, you're actually still, until we get to gold level, you're actually still early. And it's only after gold that we start counting, like how big could this thing be? So you have a 10x until you're no longer early, right? And then beyond that, the other angle is from an institutional perspective. The thing about institutional investors is their starting point is what's called a benchmark portfolio. And a benchmark portfolio means owning everything. So like an index of stocks, the S&P 500, you can think of that as the benchmark portfolio, right? That's where they start. And then if they want to overweight NVIDIA or underweight Ford or overweight Tesla, they can tweak around the edges, but they have to get to this starting point. Crypto is now part of the global capital markets, right? It's $3 trillion. Stocks are $100 trillion. Bonds are another 100 trillion or something. So it's a sliver. It's like a percent. But of those $200 trillion, they have no exposure to Bitcoin. They don't own it yet. So it's not like a little bit of money has to come into Bitcoin. I think institutions have to buy $1 trillion, $1.5 trillion worth of Bitcoin until they get to level. Imagine what $1.5 trillion coming into Bitcoin does to the price. Like, who is going to sell? How much will it go up? I think it'll be really significant. People look at the Bitcoin ETFs last year, they did $37 billion. People put $37 billion in. The price went up substantially. There's more buying than selling. I think you got to put $1 trillion into this just to get to level. And it's just too much money. It has to come in. So I think the people who are worried that I actually think there's never been, on a risk-adjusted basis, a better time to buy Bitcoin than right now. I think it's eliminated all the risks of failure. Those are all gone. And I still think it has 10x upside until it's getting started, until it's no longer early. And then I think it has upside from there.
Peter Schiff says tokenized gold will eat Bitcoin's lunch. He believes digital coins tied to real gold solve Bitcoin's biggest flaws. In his view, they also make dollar-backed stablecoins unnecessary. Schiff, a longtime Bitcoin critic, says gold is the best monetary asset for tokenization. He claims it improves on gold's natural strengths while avoiding the weaknesses he sees in Bitcoin. Still, critics warn of risks. If tokenized gold exists on a centralized blockchain, it could be altered or frozen. Holders also face counterparty risk if the entity storing the gold fails. The debate between Bitcoin supporters and gold advocates is far from over.
Yeah, I actually think the nature of that is changing. So the reason I think there used to be this Bitcoin goes up and everything goes up more is that crypto was driven mostly by speculation, right? The hope that it will be better in the future than it is today. And I think where we're at right now is it's starting to be driven more by fundamentals. So like if Bitcoin goes up because governments adopt it, what should that mean for ETH? Not much, right? ETH is going to have to win on its own terms. Solana is going to have to win on its own terms. Uni is going to have to win on its particular terms. And I think this idea that that Bitcoin will drag these other assets up is probably from an era where crypto was mostly speculative
And retail.
and retail. And I think we're moving into an era where it's more utility and more institutional.
Mm.
And so you're going to see these assets have very different returns. It's going to look more like the stock market. Does NVIDIA going up help Ford? No, right? They're basically irrelevant to each other. And I think we'll get to the point in 5 or 10 years where Bitcoin and Solana are basically not quite irrelevant because they're both within this crypto ecosystem, but they have a loose affiliation from their returns.
Mm.
The market is mostly Bitcoin, and then some ETH, and some Solana, and then a handful of very small assets. But the media attention and weight that is paid to meme coins or to these scams is like almost equivalent, right? Which is an incredible fact. Because again, the market is 70% Bitcoin, and it's 90%, Bitcoin, ETH, Solana, BNB. But is the media attention that? No, absolutely. It's mostly on this negative stuff.
Ether is trading close to its record price, but some analysts say a new all-time high might take weeks or months. Nansen analyst Jake Kennis believes ETH could consolidate after a sharp 215% rise since April. He thinks the price will hold as long as institutional interest and ETH ETF inflows stay strong. On Thursday, ETH touched $4,779, just 2.07% below its peak, before sliding to $4,630. ETH ETF activity has been impressive. Spot ETH ETFs saw $1.01 billion in net inflows on Monday, the biggest single-day inflow to date. Corporate Ether holdings also jumped to $13 billion with Bitmine, SharpLink, and the Ether Machine leading the charge. Some traders think the move to new highs is much closer. Artizor predicted an all-time high within days, while Pintoshi suggested it was coming soon. Polymarket bettors are pricing a 65% chance of $5,000 ETH before August ends. Kennis expects new highs if flows remain bullish. Sentiment notes that retail skepticism is high, which historically aligns with further upward movement. If you have been watching so far, thank you so much for watching, and do not forget to subscribe to Bitcoinzilla for daily news, all for free. That's all for today's video. Until next time.